This is the Console Killer. Welcome to my tutorial for Burai Fighter for the NES. And we're going to be playing on Eagle difficulty, which is the easiest difficulty. The game still took me around 4 hours and 21 minutes to beat, so it's pretty challenging. Not as hard as I've heard it mentioned, people saying it's like the hardest NES game and things like that. Nowhere close to that, but it is pretty challenging at some points. And yeah, the S's are going to give you speed, so that'll increase your speed. You can lock your fire in any position, so you hold down B to fire, and that's going to fix you in the direction that you're facing. So I was trying to figure it out initially. As you can see, I didn't understand the controls, but yeah, you can lock into the direction you're facing, so you just hold B to lock into that direction. And you're going to be using that a lot. So definitely get used to it. Shooting those things with the balls around them will give you power-ups. The L is the laser. The R is a circular shot, as you're seeing here, that goes through walls. That's my main weapon that I use. And the M is the missile, which is the most powerful, I believe, but I rarely use it because it shoots only to the right. So it's a little odd. And basically, by collecting the same letter multiple times, you'll power up that specific shot. If you do die with a shot equipped, you will lose it completely. But you will keep the other weapons that you've powered up. So if you've collected multiple L's, you'll keep that laser powered up if you're using another weapon when you die. So the only way to switch weapons that I know of is by getting one of the letter icons that powers up your weapons. I don't know any manual way to switch weapons. So, that can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But yeah, this is the weapon I usually use, the R, the ring. And of course, by collecting multiple of them, you can get it more powerful. Eventually, it'll get to the point where it says ring A at the bottom, and that power level is the max as far as I can tell, and that shoots four circular shots out, I believe, in addition to your regular little pellet shooter. But that's really good because it's like a spread shot and it goes through walls, so that's pretty much like, for me, the ultimate weapon. I even end up using it on the last boss. I saw a lot of people use laser, but I found that the ring weapon seems to kill the boss a lot faster because it goes through his body and it hits his weak point easier. So I'll show that later. But yeah, as you can see, you can get on the wall right here and shoot right through the wall and take out those turrets using this weapon. So it's very effective. Also, initially, I didn't learn to the very end of my playthrough that collecting the red gems is actually useful. When you kill enemies, they'll randomly drop red gems occasionally. And those red gems, by getting them, you'll fill up a meter on the bottom that says extra. If you fill it up all the way, you'll get an extra life. But more useful than an extra life, most of the time, is filling it up and using the bombs. Each segment means that you have one bomb you can use. Now, those bombs don't seem to hurt bosses at all, but what they do is they clear out all debris and shots off of the screen, so they can keep you alive. So that's one way to make things easier. So keep that in mind. Try to collect those red gems and use them on hard parts that you have trouble with to clear out the debris. This boss is very easy. Just shoot the 3 bulbs on his body, and of course, don't get hit by the tentacles or the bullets. You can even shoot through the boss using the ring weapon, so if you're below him, you can shoot through his body and hit that upper one and the other ones as well, so keep that in mind. This game also has infinite continues and passwords, so the most you have to redo is the level itself. However, there are several checkpoints in each level as well, so as long as you don't lose all your lives, you can start at one of the checkpoints upon losing a life. You will, of course, not have, whatever weapon you had equipped will be destroyed, but you'll have the other weapons that you powered up. So yeah, there's a lot of parts in these levels. Well, there's a few parts in the game where it'll try to trap you if you don't know which direction you're supposed to go. The screen will scroll and you'll get crushed by the walls. However, you can touch the walls without any consequence. The walls don't hurt you, as in most shooters. So keep that in mind. But you do have to watch out. If the screen switches directions, you can get crushed by the walls. And there's a few parts where they try to trick you with that. But of course, it's just the usual trial and error memorization that comes with these old NES games. So once you know how the level works, you won't fall into that trap. This part can be a little tricky. I suggest staying back for a while and letting these things, let the screen scroll so that you can see what's going on and you have room to move. If you try to go in immediately, you'll usually get killed. So I would just wait and see that nook up where I was, that little corner, that upper corner where I waited, allowed the screen to progress some more, and I was safe from that spinning thing. So just, keep that in mind. You'll see there was an edit right there. That means that I died on this checkpoint. Since I'm editing out deaths for this playthrough, there's really no point in showing them since you have infinite continues and you have to beat the level on the number of lives you have anyway. It would just be redundant. So I show all the successful gameplay. Yeah, and here, you can get that power up, whatever weapon that you want. I prefer the R weapon because I like shooting through the walls. And it's especially good when you get the spread shot with it. But I usually just get the R. You do have to get a little bit used to the letters changing manual. They change automatically, and you just have to kind of wait for the weapon that you want. So sometimes that can get you killed. If you just rush and grab them, you'll end up getting, random weapons. So it's good to wait and get what you want. You could take a balanced approach and power up all your weapons, but I like to just use this weapon, pretty much this ring weapon, or R, whatever it is. Yeah, ring. This boss can be tough. The objective here is to shoot those blue parts on the snake, and once you shoot both of them, you'll separate it into 3 snakes. And once you do that, then you have to shoot the back of each snake to kill it. You have to shoot the back a number of times to kill each snake. So I like the ring weapon because, of course, it goes through the body of the snake, so it won't get blocked off. It'll go through and hit shit. The main thing here is to keep moving in a circular motion in the middle of the screen. Stay away from the edges if you can, because the snakes will come out of the edges and kill you. So I try to stay mostly in the middle and move in a circular motion to avoid them, and try to shoot through them and hit that back part. And aside from that, it'd just be, you may need to practice it a little bit to get it down. But it can be a tricky boss. And here you get another password. And these levels can be annoying. They're not that hard, but they're kind of a pain in the ass. What I do is I kill the purple guys in this level to farm the ring weapon. So I just kill them until I get the fully powered up ring weapon. At least to the point where it's shooting out the 4 projectiles. That's all I really want. I don't know if it can get any more powerful than that, but I just keep collecting the R until I get the ring to shoot the 4 projectiles out. And what that does is the ring is great for this part because it goes through the boss and hits the bulbs that you have to destroy. I believe there's 12 little bulbs you have to destroy for this boss. And by getting the ring powered up, you'll be able to take out multiple at once, so you'll save yourself a lot of time. It's an annoying fucking part because the enemies kind of just bust out of the side of the screen without any warning, so it's easy to die. But if you play it enough, you'll get it. You can use the ring weapon also so that you don't have to go inside the boss where the walls are really tight. And I believe those walls will kill you if you touch them, so it's better not to go inside the boss. So I recommend using this weapon. So now that I have it, I just start walking around, because basically it seems like you walk around randomly and eventually the boss will appear. I don't know any way to make it appear sooner. I just walk around in random directions and eventually it appears on the screen. I mostly go right a lot of times, but eventually it appears. Sometimes it seems to appear much sooner. I think it's completely random, but I'm not sure. I've had it appear like almost immediately when I started the area, so I think it's completely random. But yeah, so here you're just going to go around in a circle and just try to take these out as you're moving. It's good to just keep moving in a circle because it keeps you safer than trying to stay in one place for too long, because these guys will pop out quickly. Here I go in a little bit, but you don't have to. You can, if you want, you can shoot it through one of the walls. It's not too hard. It's kind of a pain in the ass, though. It took me several attempts, so it's kind of annoying, because a lot goes wrong with those enemies popping out of the corners. But you'll get it if you keep at it. It's really not that hard. There's one that's slightly harder a little bit later with 16 bulbs you have to destroy. But those are some of the easier levels. Those are probably the easiest levels in the game, so they're not bad. Here, if you kill this little perimeter of turrets, you can go in and get that thing that swings around you. It's kind of like a barrier. It gives you a little bit of extra protection. I don't think it's really that helpful, but it's easy to get, so you might as well pick it up. Now, see, at this point, I wasn't really busting my ass trying to get all the gems because I didn't realize that they would give me bombs. I don't even think I used the bombs until late in the game. I didn't even know how that really worked, and I didn't really think about the bombs much. I just kind of just played the game without them. I'm sure it would have made things a lot easier. It probably would have cut my time back, of my overall time of beating the game, especially if I knew about that on the last level. Because if you save up bombs for the last boss, you can make him a lot more manageable. But, you know, I did fuck that up. I was trying to beat the last boss, the last level on 1 life without dying because I wanted to keep my bombs. But that plan ended up falling through. But it is one way to make the last boss a lot easier. But then, of course, you also have to do very well on the level. So you got to weigh it out and decide if that's the way you want to go. I was resetting when I lost a life because a lot of times because I wanted to beat it with just 1 life so I could bring all my bombs to it. But yeah, I'll go into more detail about these things. Of course, give you power-ups, so you have to hit them in the area where there's not a ball covering it. So just try to take those out and get all the power-ups that you need. Try to power up that R weapon, or a lot of people prefer the laser. So it's just a matter. It's kind of a preference. I'm sure there's different uses for the different weapons. The laser is more powerful than the ring weapon, but it doesn't shoot through walls, and the ring has a wider radius. Those circles are bigger than the lasers. They're thicker, so see, I wasn't even caring about the gems because I didn't even realize what they did. I was just ignoring them. But yeah, the laser, when it's powered up, it'll shoot in 4 different directions. It'll shoot in 4 diagonal directions: left diagonal, right diagonal, and up and down, etc. It'll shoot like in 4. But to me, I don't really like that particular angle. I'd rather have like a spread shot that goes through walls with thicker projectiles, even though it's a little bit weaker. And a lot of this is just going to be getting used to the level, just practicing it a little bit, knowing where enemies are going to come out at. I didn't have too much trouble with these earlier levels. But yeah, see, I have a full meter here with a lot of bombs, and I didn't even use it. Now, of course, it's gone because I edited out a death there. That was a checkpoint. Like I said, there's multiple checkpoints in the levels, and I usually die on some of them. So you'll see my weapons power down from time to time from the edit, since I edit out all the deaths. Here, you just you kind of just trigger these things by getting within range of them, and then just move away, and just stay in the gaps. And of course, pay attention to the enemies and avoid them as well. But it's pretty easy. There's a more annoying part with these on the final level, but this one's pretty easy. And then for this part, I like to just kind of just stay back like this and shoot through the boss with the R weapon, since it travels through the boss and hits that gem on his body. I think it's really effective for this boss. So just stay on the left side, and then when the screen scrolls, move around to the right side and do it that way. But just avoid the platforms that are falling down, and the bullets. But yeah, it's very easy with that weapon. Welcome back to the tutorial for Burai Fighter on Eagle mode. And yeah, this level can be tricky. It's one of the harder levels. Not nearly as hard as the final level, but aside from that, it's probably the hardest level. And you're just going to have to get used to the way the screen scrolls and where to position yourself to take out some of the enemies. But make sure you get those power-ups if you can. Try to grab them all. You're especially going to want to have your ring weapon powered up. Though, like I said, laser is often an option as well, so you can probably use that as well. But I chose the ring. See, I like being able to shoot from underneath those platforms and take out those assholes. I find it useful for that kind of shit. You won't die from touching the walls, but you can get crushed on the walls if the screen scrolls into you and crushes you. So stay in that little opening right there, and you won't get crushed. Those enemies are extremely dangerous, so keep your distance and fire at it from the right or from the left. Position yourself to the left and stay at the far left until it's dead, because it'll rush into you extremely fast, and it takes a lot of shots to kill, so it's very dangerous. You'll see those on the last level where they're really dangerous. Here the ring weapon fires in both directions since I have it powered up to that point, so I was able to take out multiple degrees of enemies. I'm still not collecting the gems because at this point in the game I still didn't understand how the bombs work, the screen clearing bombs, which I didn't end up really even using them at all until the end, until like the last level. So I would suggest, actually using them. I would have used them if I knew more about them, but I kind of forgot about them, and I didn't realize how you got them. Because sometimes it's hard to find information on these old games, so I just didn't come across it. This part can be tricky. My recommendation is to try to take those guys out in rows. So if you can line them up and take out a bunch of them in a row, you'll make it a lot easier, because what they'll do is if there's any of them surviving, they'll try to dash into you, and they're very fast. So be aware of that and be ready to move if they dash at you. See, they dash down at me. So you want to try to take out the whole row, the entire row if you can. You don't really have to worry about the turrets on the left and right, as if they do shoot, they shoot extremely slowly. So I mostly just focus on the enemies in that part, the enemies in those rows. Try to take them all out. And here, this would be a good place to power up your bombs and get all those red gems. Though it depends, I think it's random when the enemies drop gems. But whenever you see enemies drop gems, try to get them so you can power up your bombs. I mean, that's the one thing I'm not going to be showing in this playthrough until the final level, because like I said, I didn't really understand how the bombs worked. So, don't follow my lead on that. Use the bombs if you have them. There's some dangerous areas here where you just have to know when the enemies are going to come out. And I'm sure I got lucky sometimes, because I don't think I knew this level that well. Though I know this one took me a number of attempts. This was one of the harder levels. Yeah, now for this boss, I have a very easy method for the most part. You can still die easily, but there's a very easy method for this boss. I stay all the way at the top, and if you stay all the way at the top, that spiked thing will never hit you. All you have to focus on, take out those blue flying things that shoot the little bullets. That's it. And watch out for the bullets. That's all you really have to do. If you stay all the way at the top, you won't have to worry about the spiky thing. So it makes it much easier. And then as soon as the eagle comes out, wait for those balls to disperse and get right on his ass. And you'll kill him real fast with the ring weapon. So just get right on his fucking ass. You can probably do the same thing with the laser as it's more powerful, but I like using the ring. So yeah, you just get right on him. As soon as those balls disperse, don't try to get in there when the balls are like surrounding him, but as soon as you can, get in there, fire down at him, and just get in close and grind the bullets on him. Now for this part, I do very similar method to what I did in the previous stage that was like this. This one is like the same thing, except there's 16 bulbs you have to destroy instead of 12, so that's about the only difference. So the green ones are the ones you want to kill, so kill the green ones and power up your weapon of choice. I prefer the ring weapon, yet again, because it has like a spread shot, and it goes through the boss. It goes through walls, so you can take out multiple bulbs with one shot, or basically. So once I get that powered up, then so now that it's fully powered up, I'll go on and try to find the boss. And as with the previous level, the appearance of the boss seems completely random. So you may be walking around for a long time sometimes, but sometimes I've started and I've had it appear almost immediately. I've started right at it. So I don't think it was a checkpoint. I think it's just random. So eventually, just keep walking to the right mostly, I guess, or maybe anywhere, and it will appear eventually. Just make sure you have the weapon you want. If you have just a single ring shot, it's going to be a decent amount harder with 16 of these things. So I'd recommend farming a little bit and getting your fully powered ring shot. See, now I can take these things out pretty quickly and just shoot right through the boss. And if you do it right, you won't even have to go inside, the perimeter of the boss. You can stay outside the boss. It's still very dangerous. Those guys can kill you instantly if they rush into you, and I don't know if there's a lot you can really do about that sometimes. But, it's just something that you may have to deal with, but it's not too bad. Welcome back to the final part of the tutorial for Burai Fighter for the NES on Eagle mode. And yeah, this is the toughest level. This took me like maybe 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah, something like that. It took me a while. This is a tough level. So for this level, I have a few different things that you can try. One is that what I would suggest trying to do is beating the level on 1 life. Now that's going to sound really hard to do initially, so it's up to you if you want to go that route. But the reason I recommend that is because collecting those red gems and powering up your bombs, you can have a full bomb meter, which gives you a lot of bombs for the final boss. And the final boss is a pain in the ass. He can be tough. You have to shoot him for a long time, and you have to dodge. You have to dodge really tightly for a while. So you can actually use the bombs when you're about to die, and by doing that, you can stay alive for a long time, beat the boss a lot easier. But it's not necessary. What I ended up doing was fighting him without the bombs and beating him. I had like 2 bombs only, but so it's doable either way. It's just decide, it's a matter of how you want to go about it. But just keep that in mind. By collecting those red things, you can get your bomb meter up, and you're gonna want those for the boss if you can. There's a way to make the screen scroll up here and reveal a bunch of extra power-ups. But I've only done it a few times, and I have no idea how to trigger it. So you may have it happen to you at some point, but I don't know how to do it. But yeah, pretty much, it's going to be a matter of memorizing what's coming out. I like using the laser up to this point of the level. So I use the laser pretty much for everything you've seen so far in this level. And the reason I use it is because those jumping enemies, when you're trying to ascend up that you're going up, those jumping enemies take a lot of hits, and with the lasers kill them fast. And the lasers kill enemies like these fast as well, so the extra power kind of helps. Here I use my bomb, my screen clearing bomb, to try to take out that power-up thing, because that thing can get you killed. It'll follow you down here. Then here, get behind this wall immediately. You want to get behind this wall immediately. If you hesitate at all, those guys will rush in and kill you. They're very dangerous. And now here, I edited out a death, so now I'm using the bare bones with no bombs. This is tricky. You want to get the guys to rush you and then get the fuck out of there, but you want to move up and down so that they can't hit you. And you got to do that while these platforms are moving. Keep in mind something about those guys. They can move left and right extremely quickly and kill you, but they move up and down extremely slowly. So if you can get below them or above them, you can shoot down or above at them and kill them very easily. But they're very dangerous when they're horizontal to you. They're extremely dangerous. Try to get bullets in them as they're coming at you and move the fuck out of the way, basically. For this part with these flies, stay up at the very top and just focus on avoiding the bullets and make minimal movements, and you won't have too much trouble with that. For this, I use the ring weapon. I only had 2 bombs, so I wasn't able to use the bomb technique. So now you'll see what it's like to fight it with just the ring weapon. You can also use lasers, but it's harder to get the hits in. Even though they're more powerful, I feel like this is a much faster way to do it, because it goes through the boss and hits the weak point easier. So I recommend using the ring and fixing yourself in that upper right diagonal position and just focus on dodging the fireballs. Don't focus so much on hitting the boss. Just focus on staying alive. What you want to do is you want to go around in a circular motion to the right to avoid those things, but then immediately snap back to the left, because the dragon's body will rush into you and kill you if you stay on the right near his body. You do not want to stay near the right of the dragon's body. You want to immediately move back to the left and get out of there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this boss took me a lot of practice with save states to get it down. So I'd recommend using, if you're on an emulator, use save and load states to really practice the boss. I didn't practice it as much as I should have, but, try to practice it until you're pretty comfortable with it. And then, I was getting intense at the end, and, I was getting kind of nervous, so then I was kind of fucking up a lot. So, the more you can have that down to muscle memory, the easier it'll be. Well, let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.